Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's well. It's been a week. It has been a week. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's been a week. Ever just have one of those weeks that are just, it's been a week. It's been one of them kind of weeks. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone has had a good weekend thus far. Been kind of a lazy day today. Woke up, found out I had enough time to do a group fly with Two-Tone Murphy, which is always a blast. Evening, Scotland. How are you this evening? Hope you're well. But did the group fly with Two-Tone Murphy this morning and flew the Italian jet that I can't remember the manufacturer, and right off the top of the I want to say mariachi, but that's just not right. Flew that around Ireland, which was very fun. Something that's really proven I need a better joystick for a lot of reasons. Great fun though. So it's always fun flying with the Two-Tone Flying Circus. Ermachi. I really should brush up on Italian because I do have some Sicilian heritage. So I mean I can't do like the buongiorno, but I just mariachi comes to brain, and I know immediately that it's not right. Was it the 339? Great fun though, regardless. So today we're going to cruise around. Since the last stream I did, which was last Sunday, I did a trip up into northern Michigan with my dad, and we traveled mostly in the Upper Peninsula, although we did make a couple of stops on the way north in the Lower Peninsula. But we stopped at the Sioux Locks, which, if you ever get a chance to check those out, they're just a huge feat of just engineering, because Lake Superior and Lake Huron connect right at Sault Ste. Marie, which, if you look at it in a map, it looks like Sault Ste. Marie, because Sioux is spelled S-A-U-L-T, but it's pronounced Sioux. However, the Sioux Locks are spelled S-O-O Locks, but it's pronounced the same way. Gotta love Michigan. But where they meet there on the St. Mary's River, but Lake Superior is higher. The surface layers, or the surface water, is higher than it is in Lake Huron. So they made a system that's basically like a water elevator for boats that either raises or lowers the boats, and you're talking massive ore freighters. When we were up there, there's an ore freighter. There was a freighter carrying the big windmills that you see in wind farms. It was carrying a bunch of blades and whatnot for those, and it was just massive boat. But it raises and lowers them to easily transition the lakes, because it goes, these boats are going anywhere from Minnesota or northern Wisconsin all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. So they have to go through Lake Superior, go through the locks, down the St. Mary's River, into Lake Huron, down past Detroit and Windsor, Lake St. Clair, down to Lake Erie, then Lake Ontario, and then they eventually get to the St. Lawrence River, which leads all the way to the Pacific or the Atlantic Ocean. So it's huge as far as shipping goes. It's the importance of the Sioux Locks. most notably some notable wrecks in Lake Superior specifically have been, at least in Michigan, the Edmund Fitzgerald went down in a storm. There's a song about it, and most Michigan residents that are born and raised and have had family here for a long time know the Edmund Fitzgerald just at the drop of a hat. But today we are starting in St. Ignace, Michigan, which is on the north side of the Straits of Mackinac, on the Lake Huron side. We won't be flying around the bridge because it's not currently represented properly in Flight Sim. Okay, eventually get updated. From here, we're going up to Sault Ste. Marie. We'll fly around the locks a little bit. I have some pre-written notes about the different locks. Then from there, we're going to the Two-Hearted Airstrip, which is, you want to talk about a airstrip that doesn't look like an airstrip, wait until you see this one. And we're going to our last scheduled stop, because this could potentially take a lot less time than I'm anticipating. We're stopping at Hanley Field, which is operated by the United States Forest Service. I've did fly it before, and it's great. I mean, nothing could ever replace being there in person, and the pictures are probably the second best thing. Even with all of that, it's still a great flight, especially because we're not going to go very high. We're not even talking, we're talking maybe 2,000 feet. We are running Rex weather, and we're flying the 152 because we like going low and slow. Today we are in 8082 Foxtrot, which is a 150 that I actually have flight training. And it is also a plane that is no longer with us. It was in a crash, and that makes me sad. But it is. So we're going to go ahead and set the trim. Here that my levers are clear, so mixture goes forward. Track the throttle just a hair. We're going to master switch on. Rotating beacon active. It does have both switch panel and hit B. Not at all. The video description or the stream description title should have the first identifier, which is 83 Delta. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start the end. A good start. Mixture out just a little bit. Should be. Okay, Onyx coming on, and nav lights on, taxi lights on. Okay, so we should be. Yeah, the wood paneling does a little bit of nice. I really don't understand why they added it to the radios, because that's not quite right, but it looks nice. And I do like the way that they have it weathered, because it's not like squeaky clean. You can tell this is a well used aircraft. So I can thoroughly appreciate that. I always have a soft spot for the 52. I'll turn on the trans. Yeah, it looks used, and I think, it's great that, like the airliners and whatnot, makes sense that they would be, super clean. But some of the more, some of the smaller aircraft like this, a little bit of weathering makes a huge difference, because it makes it look like it's actually been used, not that you just got it off the factory. So we're not on any kind of radio network, but we're gonna just go ahead and tune to the common Unicom frequency. Have them on for the sake of having them on. We've walking VFR. Hey, thanks for the follow, Scotland. Do appreciate it. Okay, so according to Rex, the winds are coming from the 340, and we have a 523 runway, so we will take off on runway 23. You're going to release the parking brake. I am running the Cessna 152 community mod. I think it adds a bit better performance. Kind of matches what it should have been. But I like the way it is done compared to stock. Okay, we're gonna set. Go ahead and turn the panel on. Put that back. Around us. This is Lake Huron, and right over here is, you can kind of see their runway lights, the Pappies, or yeah, that's Mackinac Island. That's a wonderful place to visit, and I haven't been there in years, but it's fun to visit. Going to continue taxiing out to the runway. I'm also flying. That's a question. What server am I? I'm going to be on East USA. I'm either always on the North Europe server or the East USA server. We're going to get to here. We're going to check for traffic. Any traffic. Off with the taxi light, on with the landing light and strobes, because we're going to be entering an active runway. Easy for me to say. Gonna take off and circle around a little bit. Now the Bing mapping up here is a little iffy. You could look on just Bing Maps and it looks kind of goofy in this area, which is unfortunate, but it's what it is. At full power, we're going to fight with the rudder pedal a little bit. No need for flaps. We had quite the crosswind to deal with. So many trees. There's the highway. Go ahead and head south initially. Right there is a nice scenic overlook. Not quite, doesn't look quite the way it does in real life, but that's fine. It was one of the stops my dad and I made on our way home. In fact, that little building's kind of a platform on top of a hill, and that's where we were. Right there. Let's go ahead and reduce power and mixture because we're not going high. That's where the Mackinac Bridge would be if it were properly represented, but it isn't. But that's okay. There's Mackinac Island right off the nose. That is St. Ignace. Lots of little shops and souvenir shops and docks to go on boat, get on a ferry over to the island, because the only way to the island is either by airplane or boat. And you can't drive on it. Seems the weather's clearing up just a tad. Trim down a bit more. There's the airport. Not quite. You can. Those that can have a keen eye can probably tell this is a lot of autogen looking, and that's fine. It looks well enough. The airport's missing a couple of buildings here and there, but that's okay. And right out there, that's Lake Michigan. So two of the Great Lakes all in one spot. Because over there are the Straits of Mackinac. We've got someone taking off. I do believe that is Dan. And anyone is welcome to tag along. I do tend to keep my multiplayer open. However, I am running a livery, so be warned. We're going to go ahead and proceed north, although I think I'm going to turn off the panel or the dome light. And for this initial run, we're the only navigation we're using is strictly VFR out the window, so we're going to be following this highway, this interstate or motorway. Down there somewhere is a place called Castle Rock. And it's probably not modeled at all, just because of the autogen issue. But it's an interesting little spot. I don't know much about it, but you can definitely notice it when you're driving on the highway going northbound. It sneaks up on you when you're going southbound, though. It's really interesting how that works. We're going to proceed on course, as it were. Now, a lot of the scenery up here. Uh, my main gripe, as it were, is the trees aren't the right kind of trees. Because mostly when you get up this far, it's a lot of tundra-y, a lot of scrub brush, kind of foliage, a lot of pine trees. Because they get some pretty serious winter weather up here during the winter time, and it's a gripe. I only gripe because it's just the fact that it doesn't match up, but it still looks wonderful. It's somewhere that I enjoy visiting. If I had the ability to, I would probably have some sort of cabin getaway up here, just in the middle of the woods near a lake and an airport. Make my own little airstrip, and I'd be a very happy camper. But there are bogs, there's swamps, tundra-esque kind of escapes. But it's the biggest thing that you notice is gone is the sound of the highway. When you live in a city, you just get that constant sound of things going on, background city noise, as it were. And up in the Upper Peninsula, you don't get that. It's just, it doesn't exist. And it's kind of nice. Hey, Jim, how you doing? I'm doing well. Just kind of taking in the scenery of northern Michigan. A lot of trees. It's just a really nice area to visit. Yeah, we're in, we took off from Mackinac County in St. Ignace, Michigan, nearby to Mackinac Island. And retracing the steps of my trip that I went on this past week. Nice low and slow, and I really hope that in the future Asobo or Microsoft is uh-oh, that's not good. But I hope Microsoft and Asobo add seasons in at some time, because the colors up here this time of year is just, it's unbelievable. It's so good. Black screens and no sound, that's not good. Not good. Good at all. I think the statistic is on average you can't go more than 6 miles in Michigan without running into some body of water. Think about that. That's a lot of lakes. A lot of little lakes. It's kind of nice, actually. Hey, Brian, how you doing? So here soon we're going to be coming up on the city of Kinross. It's Kinros. And the airport there is called Chippewa County, and it's a former U.S. Air Force base. I don't recall when it was decommissioned as an Air Force base, but interesting to know, it has 3 prisons or 3 correctional facilities right in close proximity to the airport. There is 1 county, 1 state, and 1 tribal correctional facility. County being for the county, the state, obviously the state. The tribal is for the Indian or the Native American tribes. But that's just an interesting tidbit of information. Just so many trees. Look at all the trees. I would certainly hope a reinstall would fix. That's an odd, very aggravating problem to have. Pardon me. Now see, off here you can already see Sault Ste. Marie, at least the Canadian side, because the Canadians have a bigger airport than the U.S. side does, but you can see the lights out in the distance even from here. Hey Allison, how are you doing? The crew does seem to be all here. Oh, we've got another friend. We're going to make a nice, gentle left turn following this motorway. Brighter is good. Brighter is good. I know I took a bit of a nap in between the end of Murphy Stream and this one, and I feel a bit better. Man, it's so pretty up here in this part of Michigan. It really is. I mean, if you're ever in the area of Michigan, it's worth going over the bridge, the Mackinac Bridge, because that's. Hey, Merlin Flyer, how you doing? If you ever get a chance to go over the Mackinac Bridge and explore the UP a little bit, it's absolutely worth it. I mean, just to look at it, but to visit the Sioux Locks, to visit Whitefish Point, to visit Tequamanon Falls. I don't know if I wrote that down. No, of course I didn't. Tequamanon Falls, if you look at the word, it doesn't look like it's spelled. Or it's spelled not quite how it sounds. Something along those lines makes sense. But it's beautiful there. Just getting away from the city, getting away from the hustle and bustle, just enjoying nature for what it is. It's so wonderful to experience. But, off to the right there, we see Kinross, former Air Force Base. There's one correctional facility and then two right next to each other up in here. And I believe the two up here are the state and the tribal correctional facilities, and the one over here is the. Could be a little off. Well, hello there. Okay, making a slight right-hand turn to follow the highway. So we will do a circle around the Kinross Airport. But we will go ahead and make that right-hand turn. Very gently, because we don't need to do anything abrupt. Nice and relaxed today. And we're not landing here. We're just flying over. No, according to eBay, they're estimated to be delivered between October 20th, which is Tuesday, and the following Tuesday. So we'll kind of waiting to hear. "9-kilogram weighing rudder pedals. They're about the weight of a small lawnmower. It's so nice. It'd be neat to just have a nice little private strip just nestled in the woods. It's possible. You never know. Kind of not making any guarantees with anything these days. So there is one of the correctional facilities. Man, that's a little. That's a little runway compared to the space city. Holy cow! That's one correctional facility. That's another one, and that's another one. And I believe the smallest one this is this one, and that's the tribal one. I believe I could only assume that it goes to the Chippewa tribe, but I couldn't say for certain. I believe this is the state. No, this might be the county, and this might be the state correctional facility. But it's used to be an Air Force base, and now just a civilian, regular regional airport. And you can kind of see the original layout where you had the long runway here, a runway here, and then a runway here, and where they kind of trimmed it up for a more modern, modest airport design. A little more, a little easier to maintain, probably. I believe these are the Chippewa County Fairgrounds. We're going to go ahead and join back up with the highway. I had to go down here and see mistake. It's fascinating. I don't even claim to understand it a little bit, but they were very one with nature, as it were. They didn't waste anything on animals. It's their culture is just. It's fascinating. They still have them from time to time up here throughout Michigan. I've not been to one, but quite a few different tribes. I think the most prominent tribes in Michigan were the Ojibwe, the Potawatomi. I don't know if the Cherokee had a presence here, but the Potawatomi and the Ojibwe were two of the biggest ones that at least come to mind right off the top of my head. And see, up here you can see Canada. This goes off into Lake Superior, and up here weeding around is the St. Mary's River, leads all the way to Lake Huron. If we follow the highway too far, we'll find the bridge that goes over to Canada. But we'll locate the appropriate highway exit and follow that into town, as it were. Right up there. See, we have the runway in sight. Straight ahead. All that's Canada right up there, and this is the United States, so we're right on the border. To Lake Michigan, we are north-northeast. We're about to come up on Kilo Alpha November Juliet. And bring up the old VFR map because that won't crash the sim nowadays. So Lake Michigan is down here, and we're up here. So we're more over Lake Huron than we are north of Lake Michigan. So we're northeast-ish. In fact, my dad and I stayed in Mackinac City. It's just at the southern foot of the bridge, Mackinac Bridge. And my dad likes to call staying at a hotel or at a Holiday Inn camping. I don't think of it as camping. It's just a bit more cozy than camping. I miss camping, real camping. But I think I've talked him into a compromise, and at least next time looking into a cabin. But where our exit's going to be right there. Airport's right in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly around the Sioux Locks. The SOO Sioux Locks. And there's so many spellings for Sioux in Michigan. Or not in Michigan, but the United States. We've got Sioux spelled S-U-E, which can either be a name or a lawsuit. There's S-O-O for the Sioux Locks. There's S-A-U-L-T for Sault Ste. Marie. There's Sioux, the Indian tribe, which is S-I-O-U-X. S-O-U-I-X. Something around there. So it's interesting. The English language is really complicated. There's no getting around it. It's just hard to get your head around it sometimes. Like the word there, unless you see it written down, you have to, or out of context, you don't know which spelling of there is the right one. So we'll fly around the locks and then land at the Sault Ste. Marie Airport. I think that's a rest stop, which are nice things to have. Yep, there's the intersection, or the exit, interchange, whatever, because that's a store that has a gas station, and that's where we stopped on our return trip when we were done visiting the locks. So we're going to start a right-hand turn so we can do a left-hand circle. S-I-O-U-X. Gotcha. I had the right letters. It was the order that was getting me. I'm like 1/64th Cherokee, apparently. Fun fact. So we're going to fly over the town of Sault Ste. Marie, which is a cozy little town, as we're getting new updated weather, apparently, thanks to Rex. we've got the airport there. As we start getting a little bit of rain. You know, I may have to change the weather because this is not being friendly to showing off Michigan. Although, kind of appropriate because this is realistically a lot of what it looks like right now. I have to do that once we land. So here we have the locks. And in order from closest, from this side, which is the US side, out to here, we have the MacArthur lock, which was finished in 1943. It is the second largest lock, and probably one of the more used. Here we have the Poe, P-O-E lock. You kind of have to say it slower. Someone is going to think you're being insensitive. And that was originally completed in 1896. But it was redone in 1968. The MacArthur lock is 800 feet long by 80 feet wide by 29.5 feet deep. The Poe lock, see why I have to say it slowly, is 800 feet long, 100 feet wide, and originally was 800 foot by 100 foot. And when it was redone in 1968, it was done so it was 1,200 feet long, 110 foot wide, and 32 feet deep. The Davis lock, which is that one, is 1,350 feet long, 80 feet wide, 21.3 feet deep, and was completed in 1914. The Sabin lock, this last one, is unused currently, is the same dimensions as the Sabin lock, and it was completed in 1919. They are both slotted for either redo or replacement, as they are actively currently working on a new lock that will be equal to or slightly bigger than the Poe lock, so that more commerce can go through the locks, essentially. And Flight Sim has frozen for me, so don't worry. There we go. Weather change. Boy, that was rough. Hey, your rainbow. So those are the locks. They're much more fascinating in person. But now we can check the weather. Let's see, wind is coming from 300. So we're going to this way. go ahead and set power. I'm in for landing. Gonna go for a short final. Certainly makes for interesting landing conditions, that's for sure. Oh boy. Stall. There we go. Go ahead and that. Going to high level clouds V2. On with the taxi lights, off with the strobe, landing lights. And park it off to the side and see if I can catch some landings. Yeah, weather looks a lot nicer with the high level clouds V2. That was an abnormally well done taxi. I'll say that about my taxi. If we could. That really needs to be a hotkey. Just saying. Okay, USA US APR 1 coming in something. Steep approach. Very nicely done. We have Merlin flying coming in a 172. Two tacos and a 40. One light on the flaps. Very nicely done. Thought we had one more of it. That's not the button I wanted. Here we go. Oopsie. Oh no, I screwed up all my settings. Off. Okay. Now that we're back to that. Full screen grab. Okay. Going to alright. Okay, here I need to double check my heading it on. Heading of 294. Taxi light off, strobe light and landing light on. Mixture to full. Fully add in the power. Bunch of flaps and we're off the ground. Nice level. Take off. Going up. Here we head to 9 or 4 degrees ish. If you're on Twitch, you'll see the donate button. You click on that. On YouTube, there should be a link in the description. It'll look like something. Michigan Misfits Battalion. That's literally just me. That would be. If I didn't do that, I will have to fix that at some point. But those would be the direct methods. The Twitch link does go through Streamlabs. The one that I believe should be in the YouTube. Actually, yeah, the one on the YouTube should just go straight to me. I can add the funds to that goal. If it goes through Streamlabs, it automatically updates. Otherwise, I have to do it manually. No worries. So we're going to fly over Canada briefly. Now back to throttle. Now back to mixture. And if it doesn't show up on the screen, don't worry. I can confirm that it went through manual. So this is a little bit of Canada, and up ahead of us is Whitefish Bay. And apparently the satellite imagery was kind of wintry. Although it's very possible they've already gotten snow up this way, because they are usually much cooler and colder in climate than I am where I am, or than it is where I am. Something like along the lines of that. Words are hard. Sure, right. Direction. This is still technically the St. Mary's River, even as wide as it is. It doesn't officially, once we get past these 2 points, then it becomes officially Lake Superior. But that's also getting very pedantic. I guess that would be an appropriate word, because it's all kind of Lake Superior. But it's fascinating because you can see this part of Canada from Michigan. And it's just kind of neat because the Lake Superior is the largest and deepest of the 5 Great Lakes. Michigan is the only state to touch, or is the state that touches the most of the Great Lakes, as it touches 4 out of the 5. There are There are 5 Great Lakes, and the easiest way to remember the names of them is using the acronym of HOME. Because you have Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. Michigan touches all the Great Lakes except for Lake Ontario. And from what I remember, they are the largest freshwater bodies of water in the world. And I am blessed to live in the state that they surround. So that's kind of neat. Excuse me. Pardon me. But it's just, I mean, it's like you're going out over the ocean. It really is. But it's just just a freshwater lake. But it just goes on and on and on and on. Obviously, under normal procedures, I'd want to be at a much higher altitude so that I would have enough altitude to glide in case of an engine failure and make my way to shore. Hey, thanks, Jim. I do appreciate that. You're a gentleman and a scholar. I love the way that, I mean, there's a lot of people that will dog on flight sim as, oh, it's just a game, not a flight sim because the systems are bad. I'm nobody specific. But it's so pretty, and especially for VFR flying, the visuals are very, very, very important. That's something that flight simmers have had to either spend a ton of money on or be without for so long, and to have the ability to fly VFR properly just straight out of the box is huge. I do appreciate it, Jim. It is in no way, shape, or form a requirement. Your presence here is enough, but I do greatly appreciate it. But to just have out of the box a flight sim that looks this good, and it does a lot of good for VFR pilots like myself, it's huge, because we haven't had anything like this to just come straight out of the box per se, and without spending a sizable amount of money to get something that looks like this. And it's just fantastic. Oh, absolutely, 100%. When I can take off and find exactly where my house is and places I've worked, places I visit a lot, it's just you can't beat them. And with their plan to update the world, I'm not really worried about like the Mackinac Bridge isn't properly represented, because it's not, and I'm a little crotchety about it, but when I be objective about it, they're trying to do the whole world, and they do a really good job with the whole world. I can't complain because they've done so well that, you know, getting all worked up about this, that, or those little minute details, it's not worth it because it's so good. They're dedicated to working on it for 10 years at least, and you can't beat that. I am on live time, or at least I should be. Although it seems to be about an hour off. So just, there we go. Oh, absolutely. It's like I've heard it said time and time again. Is, you know, you think of how good it looks now. Imagine where it's going to be in 2 months or 6 months or a year, 10 years, and it's mind-boggling when they introduce the DirectX 12. I'm excited to see what it looks like even on Xbox, because I'm sure that they have to do a reasonable job to get it on there. And they've already said that a lot of the optimizations they've done for the Xbox version have assisted the PC version, which is fantastic. You know, it hasn't been without pains, and there's been some pretty gnarly bugs. But they've worked on. They finally seem to have taken care of quite a bit of them. But it's really exciting to see where this is going to be, even in a couple of months, let alone a couple of years. And we're starting to see more and more aircraft being released with the Ermaachi that got released last night, today, depending on where you're at. I mean, that's a beautiful airplane. The L-19 Bird Dog, it's good. There's some niggly bits about it, but, you know, it's good, and they're working on making it better, and that's important. And there's so many others just in the pipeline. Coronato's was it the Twin Comanche? No, it was the Seminole. They're working on that. Milviz is working on a Cessna 310. There's a Long Easy. Just it's mind-boggling, just, and it's only been, maybe it's in its like August, September, October. It's in its like third month of being out, and we're starting to see stuff oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And my home airport, well, my two home airports have often looked just way off from what they really should be in a default Microsoft flight sim, until this one, and they actually made it look as close as it's ever been. It's not perfect, but it's a whole lot better than it's ever been, and that's, to me, it's just fantastic. Yeah. So it's incredible to see the support that it's gotten in its short, the short time since release. This should be this, because we're gonna go fly over the Tequamanon Falls. It's not. Again, it's me just kind of, I've been here, so I know that it looks off. It looks off, but it still looks fantastic. So I have to temper myself when with my criticisms, just because I'm saying all these wonderful things about it, and then I go back to a niggly bit, and I have to back off because I was just here, and it's such a beautiful area, and the sim does it as well as it can for now, but they'll update it, so I'm not going to complain. There. Let's see, so if I go to El Bingo Mapo, let's zoom out. This should be Whitefish. Town of Whitefish. Which, if I follow the road, it'll lead to the state parks. First we'll run into the lower falls, and then we will make our way down to the upper falls. And Tequamanon, it's a fine balance. It's definitely a fine balance, because it can get too easy to just go into full criticism and get off my lawn territory to where and not be constructive. So I try to balance it. So Tequamanon is spelled Tahquamenon. Tequamanon. Put that in. Tahquamenon. And that's pronounced Tequamanon. So we're flown over Whitefish. There's lakes everywhere. And this road can be interesting to drive. Very curvy. Very windy road, but it's just I could talk for days about how beautiful the area is and not do it any justice at all, because until you see it for real, even in pictures, it's not quite the full justice it deserves. It's so pretty. Especially when you can get up here during the fall when the leaves are changing colors. It's so beautiful, and I need to post more pictures of my trip. A lot of the pictures are kind of iffy because I was literally taking pictures going down the road. My dad was driving, so I was free to take as many pictures as I wanted. So they're kind of, they can be iffy at times. But I need to post more, but it's such a beautiful area to visit. It can also be very hard to follow the road with the amount of trees. But that should be the River. Should be coming up on the lower fall. Oh gosh, they do that. I'm going to spend so much time flying around my home state because it's just the oranges and the yellows and the browns and the greens, and it's gorgeous. Why, thank you, Scotland. I do appreciate it. Sure, I will get a notification of that soon. Wow. That's a heck of a donation. I do really appreciate that. I'm touched. I don't have the words to adequately convey my gratitude. It's definitely, donations are definitely not required, but I am very humbled and grateful for them. Thank you. I will have to make sure that I convert it into US dollars so I can update the on-screen, the whole thingamabob. But thank you. I really appreciate that. Paranoid I'm going to fly over them. Nope, straight ahead. I'm eternally grateful. Alright, so we're about to fly over the lower falls, and this one's neat. It has two tiers to it, but the lower tier is split in two. It's really neat. I'll have to post some more pictures on my Discord and Murphy's Discord. So this is the parking area, which it's a parking. This is where the falls are. There's one set of falls right here. There's another set of falls over here, and then up here. And there's observation. There's a trail that goes all the way around. This is supposed to be an observation deck, not a house. There's some over here. You can get a rowboat and row around in here. It's just gorgeous. And then it kind of wanders off to the lake. You got the falls here, there's dock here, trail all the way around. There's a trail that goes all the way to the upper falls from the lower falls. And so if you just want to park in one spot and do a lot of walking, you can absolutely do that. My dad didn't really feel like doing it, and I don't blame him, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't either. I could have used the exercise though, if I'm honest. But it's such a neat area because it's nestled. You don't hear any highway noise. There's no road noise. I can only imagine what it's like at night. And in Michigan, you pay $9 to enter a state park, and the pass is good for the entire day at any state park. So yeah. So that's the lower falls. Like I said, that's a parking lot. You can rent a rowboat and all. There's a restaurant, which is currently closed due to the Rona. But it's gorgeous. So if we then continue on to the river, or up the river, I should say. Whew, warm. I feel like my dad cranked up the furnace. for the record, him and I share a duplex. We have completely separate living, like 2 different apartments in the same house. Yeah. But this is the river. I think it's the Tequamanon River. Reasonably certain. It would make, yeah, it's the Tequamanon. It'd be weird to call it something else. Alright, so we follow the river through the woods. Grandmother's house, we could go. Ah, there we go. There we are. Yes. So that, yep, that's the parking area. That's the parking area. There's another restaurant and pub. This is where the Upper Falls are, and it's a much bigger waterfall. And it doesn't do the gorge justice by any stretch, but it's nestled right in there. There's an observation deck right here. There's a trail that leads all the way up there, and it's nestled right on a curve. One of the interesting things about the falls, especially if you see photographs of it, is the color of the water. It's kind of a brownish, coppery kind of color. And that's because of all the, basically all the foliage that's rotting or what have you in the river, just because it's nature and it does that sort of thing. So it has an acidic level to it. So the falls, they look kind of brown-ish. But it's on this nice bend. It's actually quite the gorge. You look at pictures. But it just, wanders down there. All kinds of trails and fun stuff to do there. So that's the Tequamanon Falls. And I believe this past week was my first. It was definitely my first trip there as an adult, but it may have been my first trip ever. Because my dad doesn't have any recollection of me going up there. I don't have any recollection of me going up there. So it stands to reason that was my first time going, and man, was it worth it. Oh boy. It was absolutely 100% worth it. If you ever get a chance to visit the Tequamanon Falls, do it. It's totally worth it. So, we now head north. We're gonna over that way is Whitefish Point. There's a shipwrecks museum up there if you're interested in shipwrecks. Now I use the term airport very, very loosely here. It's basically somebody's yard. Hello. But it's the Two-Hearted Airstrip, officially designated. It sits on the mouth of the Two-Hearted River. Hey Jay, how you doing? We're touring the UP in Michigan. The Two-Hearted River has a beer named an IPA, named after it, and it is brewed by Bell's Brewery in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I can't say as I've had it before, but I hear many, many, many good things about it. And so the beer is named after the river, and there's an airstrip, which, again, I use the term airstrip very loosely because it's basically somebody's yard, at least the way it looks. I mean, even on satellite imagery, it looks kind of iffy. That sounds exciting. We flew out of Sault. Well, we've started in St. Ignace, went up to Sault Ste. Marie, and we're heading to Two Hearted, and then we'll be heading to Hanley. Tried to pick a bunch of smaller airports just because that's a bit more fun. The downside to that is airports aren't as prevalent in this area of Michigan just because there's so many trees, and honestly the land, there's a lot of marsh, a lot of bog, a lot of swamp and tundra and forest and lakes. It's great if you have a seaplane, although I wouldn't necessarily want to put that on the Lake Superior. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I love Michigan as my home state. It would be hard. I would be hard pressed to find somewhere else to live. If I did, it would probably be Wyoming. But it's hard to get out of Michigan just because it has so much to offer. The variations in terrain, the forests, the just the natural beauty is so varied. I mean, you can go to. It's like going to several different countries and environments that it's just crazy. Well, you have a good night, Brian. I appreciate you swinging by. And you, a lot of late nights, but you gotta admit, it's been worth it to a certain degree, at least. It's always good seeing you. Michigan, it's just, if you get a chance to visit, it's so absolutely worth it. Now I think the Edmund Fitzgerald went down in '77. They still really haven't nailed down exactly what caused it to sink, but it was stormy weather. Gordon Lightfoot did a song about it. But it sank somewhere ish. It was just on the Canadian side of Lake Superior. And it has been designated a no-dive site because it's basically a tomb. So we're going to overfly the airstrip because it's going to be out of here. Yeah, I've messed with On Air. It's pretty fun. Well, Allison, if you're also departing, I hope you get some rest and I hope you feel better. Okay, so here's where we're landing. No, here's where we're landing. Yeah, it's a heck of a drive. Let me know, and let me know what you think of the area. It's worth the trip. So this is the airstrip. But Allison, I do hope you start feeling better and get some rest, and we will see you the next time. Mixture goes forward, power comes back to start descending. So we're going to be landing right now. And this is the Two Hearted River right here. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We'll catch you the next time, and if nothing else, we'll catch you on Discord, on Murphy's Discord. And you take care of yourself and feel better. Get some rest. So we're going to use this dark line as a guide for runway alignment. More 25%. White arc, so notch your flaps. Do a sharp turn. Next notch of flaps. Full flaps. There we go, and we're down. Under 40 knots, flaps are going up. Slap on the parking brake. Traffic labels turned on. The insert button. Grab our controller. And we have 2 tacos and a 40 coming in to land. Merlin Flyer. And USA PR1. Ooh, nose wheel first. Of a bounce. First thrust on. Nice landing. Very nice. Next up we have Merlin Flyer. I don't have the fun game show music that Murphy does, but that's okay. Merlin's going real high. We're going around. No. Deep approach. Down. We have USA PR1 inbound. Nicely done. Okay, from here, consult maps. We're going to Hanley Field, and we need to fly a course of 255 degrees. That's not the right button. That is. Back here. Taxi down to the end of the quote-unquote runway. Down here, we'll do a 180. Go ahead and turn off traffic label for now. Really needs to be a hotkey. Just something so simple. Okay. Wait for everyone to catch up. Flaps. Nice takeoff. Go ahead and put the flaps up. And I think we need to, was it 255 degrees? I remembered. So the next strip we're going to is Hanley Field, 5 Yankee 7. And the only notable information on it is it's owned and operated by the United States Forest Service, which makes sense. Oof. I hate FSX is great. I spent so many times. I mean, I say great. I played the crap out of FSX. I remember when it came out. Glorious. It's still like I might do a stream in FSX just because I kind of want to fly the Skymaster. And FSX or this flight sim doesn't have one just yet. And I really, really like the Skymaster. And and this is where I like having disc media as opposed to just digital media. You know, sure, they still take a while. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, but given the fact it's only a couple, been out for a couple of months, they're starting to get more and more. and the Air Machete, Machetti, uh, this came out last night, which that's a hoot and holler to fly. I need a better joystick to fly it properly. The Mooney's a great one. Bird Dog's okay. There's a Seminole coming out. There's a Cessna 310 coming out. An F-15. Concorde. P-61. Black Widow. So there's a lot coming out. I think the biggest holdback on a lot of that's just development on the SDK. But I'm sure that it won't be too awfully long before stuff just constantly starts rolling out for it. It's the Air Machete 33 MB339A. I think that's what it's called. It's on. Let me. Oh goodness. Yeah, it's the MB339. I don't have a link to it on my Discord currently, but I will be sure to. Yeah, the 7.3 is good. It's probably the biggest airliner that I would personally fly, but that's just me. Cool. But I mean, it's just there's so much, in the works of, being done, and I think I really chalk it up to the fact that the SDK needs some ironing out and a little bit more development. It's kind of ironic if you think about it. A software development kit for a software development kit. But I think once that's out, you're going to start seeing a lot more freeware airplanes. I'd even hazard a guess to say that people will start doing better conversions of the default FSX aircraft. So it's just a matter of time. Oh, absolutely. I know Aeroplane Heaven's working on a Spitfire, but they haven't released a whole lot on that. I'd love if there was a Wildcat, the FM2 or F4F Wildcat. Even a P-38. Yeah, warbirds are my jam. Oh, seaplanes for sure. It's just the list goes on. I'd like to see Coronado move all of their airplanes over and put them into this. I think that would be awesome. Yeah, it'd be really fun to get. Warbirds would really be fun. I mean, I'm much more partial to GA, but I mean, you can't say no to flying around in an old Warbird. The CRJ looks good. As flight sims freaking out. Please don't break. Please don't break. Thank you. So it's all a matter of time. It's only been out since August 18th, and that's 2 months ago. So it's nuts. I'm closing in on 200. I tell me about it. I've got. I think last I looked before this flight, I was pushing 194. Hey, don't worry about it, Dougal. I do appreciate you swinging by anyway. It is greatly appreciated. I have similar struggles, and that's kind of why was taking some time off of streaming and all, because I was so involved with Murphy streams, and it was just like there's so much going on, and so many streams, not enough time in the day. So no worries, my friend. I do appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, what's funny is I knew that Murph was going to stream. So it got to be about midnight my time, and actually it got to be about 1 a.m. my time, and I'm like, Murph hasn't gone live yet. I can't stay awake any longer. So I went to bed. And I wake up about 9 a.m. my time and look at my phone, and it's like, huh. That's 126. I don't think it will. Yeah, I did buy it. Flew around a little bit last night before my body said that it was time to sleep. So I wake up at about 9 a.m. my time, which is roughly 1 p.m. Murph time, and saw that he had gone live not that long ago, or not long before I woke up. So I popped his stream on, and he was still live, so I popped in, and it's like, kind of figured it was the last leg, and he said it wasn't. It's like, oh, so I had plenty of time to join in. So that was fun. That's an interesting plane to fly, and I need a better joystick for it. I have the old Microsoft Sidewinder joystick that I've been using since Flight Sim 98. I think it's time for an upgrade. Yeah. It's definitely a severe learning curve. The A10 HOTAS looks amazing. I'd quite honestly be happy with something like a X52. I have an X52, but last I tried it didn't work. So I think I just need a whole new system. I'd like to get something that I can mount to my chair for a HOTAS system, because that would put it in a much more ergonomic kind of position. Yeah. I've got a lot of controllers just sitting collecting dust in a closet somewhere. Really wish I could get my X52 working, but I think I'm missing some cables for that. And I'm not aware of anybody that sells just extra cables for the X52. There's got to be somebody somewhere, but just not aware of them. Hey, War Hamster, how you doing? Oh, Scott. can get to. Hey, Keen Lafford. How you doing tonight? Yeah, we can. That'll be good. That'll be good. Added an extra leg to the trip. Okay, so 5 Yankee 7. That's where we're aiming. Got a bit to go. Yeah. I'm on Twitter or Twitter. I am on Twitter. I'm on Twitch and YouTube. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I mean, just flying in flight sim's beautiful, but to see it in person as well, it's just it'll blow you away. So many trees. I would imagine that one of the plans down the road for Microsoft and Sobo is to add better variety of trees. Black Shark, whoever's in charge of doing it, a better tree variety for different areas, because there's like none of these look like pine trees, which is what would mostly be what's up here. But give it time. It's beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Hey, thanks for the follow. I do appreciate that. And Merlin Flyer just subscribed. Thank you, my dude. I do appreciate that. Got him. Oh, and what a time of day. Golden hour is upon us yet again. We fly practically directly into the sun. And no kidding. Been there once or twice myself. Once when my unit got once definitely when my unit got activated, way long time ago. But I've flown over the virtual skies of Grayling a few times. Tiny, tiny little town. But great place for the Air National Guard to have an air to ground range for 15s, 16s, 10s, and name it. Nice. I would imagine there's a reasonable amount of jet traffic up there, and we're not talking commercial traffic. Oh no, I'm out of blood. It's so nice that the VFR map works again. It's almost it's sad that, I mean, it's basically like having an aeronautical chart on your lap in the cockpit. So it's not like it's cheating exactly, other than the fact it gives you the precise spot where you're at. Yeah? What are your thoughts on it? Excuse me. Yes, I'm born and raised a Michigander. And currently reside in Michigan. Hey, thanks for the follow, Lieutenant Adkins. Ad, Edkison. 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 I'll get it right. Name butchering is a service I provide for free. So I apologize, and if I get something wrong. Yeah, we're pro. Absolutely. I'm still working out a schedule for streaming. It's aiming towards a Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday sort of schedule, about 3 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time to whenever I get done. Kind of the goal, but I'm kind of flexible with it right now as I'm trying to feel out what works the best, as it were. I generally do keep my multiplayer open during my streams, so you're always welcome to tag along. I do have a Discord. And my friend is playing Sea of Thieves. Which doesn't surprise me. Sea of Thieves is a fun game. You like piratey stuff and kind of an open world swashbuckling type thing. It's fun. It's just not something I it's fun every now and then, but I'm someone that's not big into PvP type stuff. I like, PvE, because I can get awfully competitive and I turn into a very nasty person when I get really competitive. I don't like it. So I tend to stay away from super competitive stuff because it kind of sucks the fun out of some of it. Hey, Moose. How you doing, Moose? Appreciate the follow. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, Seeing Thieves is fun when you win. I mean, I like just sailing around. There've been times where I'll just go on solo and just not even look for treasure or anything. I'm just sailing around because it's kind of relaxing. But you always get those people that'll just, harass you for no good reason, and that's just kind of sucks the fun out of it for me. But I've got a buddy that's he's really into it, and the more power to him. It's just, I have to take it in certain doses. And it's visually great, for sure. The gameplay, it is fun. Just, it can get frustrating. Yeah, everybody getting forced into their homes kind of changed some dynamics a little bit. The old Rona. And so one of these days I might stream something a little different. I've been kind of getting an itch to get back into I fly for a regional airline and we're just waiting for I can imagine. Although I can definitely see regional airlines starting back ops sooner than international flying. Or even coast, East Coast to West Coast, West Coast to East Coast type routes. But I kind of have been getting an itch to get back into No Man's Sky. I know that kind of people either love it or hate it. I enjoy it. It's just kind of a lot of things went on early in the year, and I kind of didn't really dive into it as much as I really wanted to, because it's one of those games that I can lose hours to, and I can lose hours in this. And granted, I enjoy the heck out of it, but you know, it's hard to. I have a lot of games that can just make hours disappear, and I love them, but in the wrong situation when you got a lot going on, you just can't play them. It's entire again. Yeah. I mean, there hasn't been an airline shutdown like this since 9/11, and that really only affected the U.S. I may have fallen into the category of I took up eating, which hasn't done me any favors. Yes, I am in the state of Michigan, the Great Lakes state, a beautiful state. Hello. So we should be getting pretty close to Hanley Field. Be just off the nosy. Probably that right there. Right on. I think one time flying out to the West Coast, I flew into and then out of Midway. Yeah, eating plus flight sim. That's I've had to really kind of kick myself in the butt a little bit about how much eating I was doing. Yeah. What more can I say? Yep, that's it right there. Can't remember where I was going, but I ended up going from into Midway, then to Denver. I don't remember from there. Can't remember if I went to, because it was either San Diego or Seattle. I do recall. I want to say it was Seattle. Oh yeah, I mean, it's three hours give or take from where I'm at. Not a hectic drive. Well, not a long drive. When you start getting into traffic, then it kind of lengthens the drive a bit. Oh, okay. So you pretty much fly over me whenever you go to Midway. No, I'm just kind of going plot it out and using a map. Not a lot of VORs up in the UP. Okay, we're in the white arc, so notch of flaps go in. Now this airfield, I've probably said it once or twice before, is owned and operated by the U.S. Forest Service, as there are a lot of forests in the northern part of Lower Michigan and the entirety of the Upper Peninsula. Right on. I don't think. I think the further. Well, I've been into upstate New York. I've never been into lower New York. I don't remember the last time. I've been in Pittsburgh once. Not the airport, but the city. Oh, we need to center on the runway. Yeah. See it at night. Gets even worse. Lots of pressure. Touchdown. Probably going to do one more quick hop to an airport that's 26 odd nautical miles south of here. So not terribly longer, but for a minute. I'm not getting off now. I shall be a while. Oh yeah, I kind of joined in. I don't know how far it is, but just as we were about to get to Donegal, is when I joined in. And then we did that. We flew into there and then went to Dublin. It is. It's definitely worth it. It's cheaper than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be at least $30, but it was about 25. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. Sure. Nicely done, guys. Check my trim. see, heading of 146 degrees. Better catch up. That's not a long trip by any stretch. It's about half the, a little less than half, a little more than half distance we just did. And that'll get us down to Lake Michigan in Schoolcraft County, right to the east of Manistee. Make sure we've got everybody. Lever. 5-0 is now following. Thank you very much, my dude. It is appreciated. That's fair. In nothing wrong with, yeah. On the 5 real hours that I have logged flight time, I have 4 of it's been in a 150 or 152, might be a 150M, and then an hour in a Cessna 175. So it's 175 was my grandpa's plane. It's pretty much what I know the most. Coming in for landing. Waving off. So I think we'll just go ahead and mixture rich. Parking brake off. Throttling up. $40 knots, 50 knots, flat, 1 notch of flaps down. When in doubt, go around. So we got enough altitude, flaps are going up. Okay, we're going to go to a heading of 146 degrees. And this shall be our last stop of the evening. Back off the throttle and the mixture. On roughly the right heading. Let's see. We are flying over the Big Island Lake Wilderness area, which is part of the Sene National Wildlife Refuge. according to the sky vector chart. Out. No, I don't always post. I feel kind of bad posting on Murph's Discord too much, just because I don't know. It's like going to somebody else's house and advertising your own stuff. So I try not to do it too often. Hey, Keen, you have a good night, and I do appreciate you stopping by regardless, so you sleep well. I do tend to keep my multiplayer settings open. So if I'm streaming, chances are that you're going to be able to fly with me anyway. I just, like I said, I kind of feel bad posting to Murph's Discord too often. Unless I'm doing something really interesting. I just like, respecting his space. Although he put a whole section just for just for me, so it's really no, not at all. Go right on ahead. I may not get to it until we get down on the ground, but it'll be there. It's COLFORK. There's no 85 on my flight sim name. And the fact that Murphy's put a whole section just for my live streams, it's a bit humbling. I never would have asked for that, but he did it anyway, so I'm very grateful. It won't take that long. I promise you that. So many trees. It's a nice place to get away. Just to get away from it all and enjoy some wilderness. I've actually been watching a lot of bushcraft type videos on YouTube lately. It's just old world skills that still have a use today. And that's kind of hankers back to the days of, when everything was handmade. And it'd be nice to be able to learn those skills and, go build a house or even a small shelter in the middle of the woods to escape to from time to time. I believe it. I believe it. I mean, flying's flying. But yeah, I've always liked being lower to the ground. You can really soak in the scenery so much better. I mean, it's neat to see like the Grand Canyon or the Rocky Mountains from 30,000 feet. It's neat, but seeing it. I mean, you get down to this level and you're one step from just being there. You can really see the details so much better. I'd be happy just to get a job as a baggage crew member or whatever. I've worked as a line service guy a couple of different times at a couple different airports. Just being around aviation, such a fun thing, just in general. The smell of 100 low lead in the morning. But we'll have to see how things shake out within the next year or so to see how quickly go back to proper normal. I mean, a belly pod seems to work fine for a caravan because honestly it looks better with the pod than without. But I can't imagine a King Air 350 with a belly pod. That has to look awful. Who is it? Somebody's working on a Beechcraft 99, which I think is one of the predecessors to the King Air series. Yeah, no, Jet A is just an awful smell. Ugh. Kerosene. Like fancy kerosene. Under low lead smells okay, as weird as that sounds. But Jet A, no. In fact, one of the airports I worked at would every now and then a couple guys with race cars would come in and fill up with 100 low lead. Right on. I forget who's working on it. It's probably on Murph's Discord. I know somebody's working on Wings 42 is working on a Lockheed Vega. Iris Flight Sim Software is working on a Jabiru. Milviz teases the 310. DC Designs updates progress on the F-15. Virtual Coal that announced that they're developing a Beechcraft 99 and a Dash 8 series. So there's that. Check the old macaroni. And we can turn a little right. Yeah, so it's just there's more stuff being developed, and obviously we're getting sceneries and stuff, but we're starting to see more aircraft. And I think they're starting to really get a better grasp on the SDK, which once that gets sorted out, it's just we're going to have an explosion of new add-ons. It wasn't specific. Let's see. Yeah. Once it matures, I think it's going to be fantastic. Let's see, they were also happy to share that they're already aiming for a second release after the Beechcraft, the Dash 8 series. It doesn't say any kind of specific Dash 8, but they're saying that it could come in January. And that the Beech 99 should be ready by mid-November. So that's interesting. But I'm excited to see the more variety of airplanes coming out. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's a bad that there's not a lot. I mean, there's. I think there's a decent selection of airplanes just that come default, especially if you get the Super Deluxe Awesome Edition. But to get the more variety, it's always going to be because Microsoft can only do so much cost effectively from a cost efficiency sense on getting planes licensed and put into the sim at the get-go. They can only do so much. So, and that's where the third-party developers start coming in, and that's where they kind of really take over and rule the market, which is fine. And so I'm just excited to see what between the community with freeware airplanes and then the paid add-ons, developers, to see what they come up with, and I think it's going to be really nice. But a lot of that depends on having the SDK giving it a chance to mature, and a lot of that kind of falls onto Asobo and how much time they're able to dedicate that between bug fixes, feature fixes, and their big world updates and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting because the rumor has it the next world update's going to be Hawaii, which I would agree with needing some update because Pearl Harbor just looks disappointing compared to what it should look like. Yeah, 100%. And I can't be too critical of that either, just because they've got a lot on their plate, and they're trying to do patches every 2 weeks, on top of world updates every 4 weeks. They've got a lot on their shoulders. So it's hard to be ridiculously critical of them, but it's a statement more of fact than anything, not really a criticism. If they've got a lot to do, and I think they're doing the best that they can. And I'd like to think, to some degree, with as big and as popular as Flight Sim has been, I would imagine that it could provide them the means of which to expand their staff so that they can actually, take on more projects and whatnot. Be able to actually, they've got a lot going on. So I can't sit here and just be critical. And it's, anything I'm saying is more of a statement of fact. Is they've got a lot on their shoulders, and they've got a lot of, the community has a lot of expectations, and they're doing their best to meet that in the most effective, time-effective, cost-effective methods they can. I remember. It's like, and there's so many people complaining about how they didn't it doesn't work perfectly straight out of the box. It's like, have you ever had a video game developed by Bethesda? Have you ever played Skyrim or Fallout? They weren't exactly bug free ever. So I'm of the camp of it's like you can only beta test something so much with a small group. You can only do find so many bugs in different situations. Once you throw it out to the masses, there's so many combinations of situations that you never would have thought of that need to be addressed. So you can't sit here and bench quarterback too much. it's okay to have constructive criticisms, but it's the constructive part that people need to keep in mind. Yeah. Like a product. Unrealized potential. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, and I think that's not to get on a soapbox or anything. I think that there's a lot of people that get too caught up on we've had it so good, as far as technology and such, that entertainment such, it's almost instantaneous, that it's getting almost to the point of ungratefulness and just being thankful for what we do have. And I think we need to remember that it's a blessing just to have any of this stuff. Just to be able to do any of this stuff is just it's just a wonder in and of itself. So I think a lot of people need to remember that. Be grateful for what you have, and be patient for the things that you don't yet. Start our descent into our final stop for the evening. And we're on the shore of Lake Michigan. Not too far out there is Traverse City. I am very much above the glide slope. Agreed, 100%, 100%. I mean, it's already superseded any expectation I've had for a new flight simulator. So I complaining is just being ungrateful at this point, and I'm very grateful for what we have. And it's only fair to have constructive criticisms and feedback. It's all about how we phrase it and how we convey our thought. And I think that's important for a lot of people to remember. It's okay to have constructive criticism. It's not okay to just complain. Okay, full flaps. We're going to do the round out. Bit of a crosswind. Round out, going into the flare. Hold pressure back, pressure back, pressure back. Chirp the tires beautifully. Pull the mixture back a little bit. Back. Taxi RPMs. I mean, FS also got me back into flight simming, at least on a dedicated sense. Because I've always been into it on and off, but I'd never had a community for flight sim, or been a part of a community for flight sim, and I never really dedicated that much time to it, and never really treated it as a tool. Oh, beer. But once right as this was about to come out, and I started really getting excited for it, and I really started to dedicate, okay, how do I fly this properly? I've been around aviation my whole life, so but I really got to the point, it's like, I really ought to, especially with the Rona and whatnot, I really ought to take the time and actually treat this in such a manner of trying to refresh my skills, learning what to do, how to do things properly, and that sort of thing. So, it's been huge. park up next to L19. Yeah, and a lot of that, it boils down to having the right mindset, because, you know, if you really think about it, at the core, this is really just, it's entertainment. And i.e. a game. It's a very well done game, to the point that it's, you know, a simulator. Is it perfect? No. But it's realistically quite well, and you just have to, a lot of it has to do with the mindset. Okay. That's RPMs 1300-ish for a little while. We're going to lights off. Well, not the beacon. Still need that on. Turn the avionics off. Put that back on. Got the mixture. Off. Mags off. Beacon off. Master switch off. Seems we lost somebody. Not that. There we go. And it does seem like we landed with a tailwind. That's okay. Uh-oh. Rudder pedal failure is not a good thing. Well, everyone, I do appreciate every one of you stopping by, and I really do appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, logs are important, and, you know, they need some love and attention sometimes, Warhamster. But that being said, thank you all for stopping by and for chatting and really having some fun. You as well, Moose, and we'll see you on the Discords. But until next time, be good to each other, stay safe out there, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.